Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to continue with our series of leak videos about One Piece chapters, and this time we're going to talk about the events that will be occurring in chapter 1054, the beginning of a new era for Wano and a new enemy emerging. As with all our leak videos, please remember that these are just leaks, and we don't have confirmation that some of the events occurred in the way that we might say, because these are the very first leaks we've had in nearly a month of no chapters of One Piece. So far, we don't have a ton of information about what might occur in this chapter, so in the next few leak videos this week, we'll bring you as much detail about this chapter as possible as we learn more. But before we dive into the limited leaks we do have, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a few episodes, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing and leave us a comment, let us know what you think of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these leaks. So friends, in this leak, we see that some of the events that are going to occur after the Wano confrontation, that Law, Luffy, and Kid are still in Wano after the big battle while they're recovering, and a new threat has emerged to end this celebration. Admiral Ryukugyu has appeared in Wano in order to capture the new pirate who had defeated an emperor and managed to become a Yonko, being Monkey D. Luffy, the current greatest danger to the world government. At the end of chapter 1053, we saw that Luffy and the others are celebrating in the Flower Capital, while Ryukugyu defeated King and Queen and some of other Kaido's pirates in Udon Prison, and he is now heading towards where the celebration is taking place in order to capture Luffy. In these initial leaks of chapter 1054, we see that we're continuing these very events and picking up where we left off. Now, before we go through every leak in detail, we're going to go through and list a set of the topics, and then go into further detail as we go through what we've learned about what's coming in 1054. So to begin listing the topics, the first one is that chapter 1054 is called the Emperor of Flames, referring to Ace's Entai attack. The next one is the title is related to Sabo, who is the current bearer of the animenomi. The next topic is that news is announced about a very important character losing their life, and this news is also related to Sabo. After that, the next topic was King Cobra, also Vivi's father, lost his life to some mysterious character, and the blame has fallen on Sabo. Our next topic is Monkey D. Dragon, and is going to a certain island with his entire fleet of the Revolutionary Army. The next topic is that we do not receive any new bounties for the Straw Hats or any of the other pirates that participated in the battle in Onigashima. After that, we have the topic of Shanks and his crew are around Wano, and they seem to want to see Luffy, but Shanks wants to finish off Bartolomeo first. Next, we see Aramaki is a Logia type user with a fruit called the animenomi. After that, the next topic is Shanks says that it is time to go after the One Piece treasure. We see that in our next subject, Yamato hits Aramaki in the head. And finally, before we dive into deeper over each of these topics, the last topic that we'll mention is after this chapter, there will be no break. So we will go from this chapter, which we haven't had one since the end of June, and we're going to go right into another chapter without another break. So now that we've mentioned each of the topics in the chapter, let's go a little bit more in detail what each of these topics might mean with a little bit more depth, and we'll get an idea of how this chapter may be laid out. So the first topic we'll go into is about the title of the chapter, which of course is the Emperor of Flames, and this is relating back to Sabo and the current holder of the animenomi. Now, we do know that something had happened in Mary Joie during the revelry, and that it had to do something with Sabo. But since Sabo is Dragon's right-hand man, and really second in command of the revolutionaries, we know that some revolutionaries had gone to the Celestial Dragons to try and save and liberate Kuma. Now, since the revelry was taking place when they had infiltrated Mary Joie, there was a lot more security, and two admirals being Fujitora and Aramaki in the castle. So after the attempted rescue of Kuma, Samo and his companions ended up being cornered by the two admirals. During the fight between the revolutionaries and the admirals, it is revealed that King Cobra and Sabo lost their lives. Now, King Cobra is supposed to be confirmed that he was wounded and was losing his life because we get a picture of Evie holding his body while crying. Now, to be perfectly honest, we don't have a full confirmation of what fully happened to Sabo since his body is not shown, but there is the possibility, because we know that Oda is kind of, always prone to do this, he could still be alive, just gravely wounded after this event. So in this chapter, we're going to get some information about what may have happened to Sabo during all of the events while we've been focused in Wano, and we will have one major threat left to be defeated, or at least prevented in some way. With the confirmation that Cobra lost his life, this will cause a situation where the world government and possibly Alabasta will turn against the revolutionaries, since supposedly Sabo who is a high-ranking member of the revolutionaries, was at least blamed for Cobra's loss of life. But of course, as we know, it's really difficult to picture that Sabo may have actually done this and been responsible for taking the King of Alabasta's life, because we know that he follows the same ideologies as the revolutionaries, and he's going to be focused on saving his people from the world government, and not necessarily focused on, taking other people's lives. So this could be a situation of Sabo being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the world government taking advantage of this. So what we should see is that there will be some hopefully confirmation from the world government itself that they, or at least by way of some mechanism, they were the one to take Cobra's life. After all, we do know there is a very mysterious being who commands the world government known as Imsum, and they were keeping an eye on some posters to choose which bright light was supposed to be erased from the world. And of course, the posters that we saw were of course of Teach, otherwise known as Blackbeard, Luffy, and Vivi. One possibility to consider is that since Cobra is Vivi's father, he could have secretly given his life to save his daughter's life. Perhaps he somehow learned that the world government was gonna take the life of his daughter, and he somehow got in the way and lost his life in the process. So again, the blame may not fall on the world government. They just simply took the opportunity because they had been infiltrated by the revolutionaries, so they threw the blame on Sabo so that they could redirect the hatred on the revolutionaries instead of themselves. Now, as this is early, we don't know what the outcome of this real messy situation is going to be, and it's very likely that in this chapter we're still going to have some information yet to develop. So we're going to have to wait for the release of more leaks, or at least maybe another chapter, before we have the full details of what actually happened in Mary Joie. In our next topic, after learning these events that occurred with Sabo, it looks like Dragon and the revolutionaries are now moving to some island on which we have no information yet, but it could be the location of Sabo, or even how they kind of have a way to infiltrate Mary Joie. And because we don't really know where they're going yet, this place could even have some relationship to Sabo himself, because now the revolutionaries want revenge, as well as to fulfill their main objective, as in bringing down the world government. So now we might get a little glimpse into the plan of what Dragon is going to do against the world government, because he's gathered his fleet, and real combat, real battle between the revolutionaries and the world government is set to at least being staged. And this way, in these next chapters, we could see the start of a bigger battle going on. But we also have to consider that some very powerful Marines are not available right now. We have Aramaki and Wano. CP0 seems to have been mostly destroyed, leaving only one survivor. But the world government still has 2 admirals, a fleet admiral, and possibly some other things to help fight the revolutionaries. One such organization that we could see deployed against the revolutionaries is of course this mysterious group known as the SSG, the Special Science Group. Now we don't have much information about them, but apparently they're incredibly powerful because of their highly technological weapons, such as new pacifistas that were enhanced during the time skip, or even other inventions that we haven't even seen yet. And from what it looks like, it very well could be that there are going to be several battles breaking out between various pirates and different groups all throughout the universe of One Piece. Now, based on the leaks that we have, we can already see 3 of them are going on as the Marines are trying to move against the pirates in Wano. We have Shanks seemingly fighting against Bartolomeo, and even the revolutionaries are looking to be staging up to go against the world government. With all these pieces in the world starting to move, this is going to set the stage for that biggest battle that we've ever seen in the world of One Piece. And it's going to fundamentally change the balance of power, because now everyone is moving to achieve their goals, leaving only to show what Teach and Buggy and other few, important pirates are doing in the world. Because as we've all heard from Oda Sensei, this upcoming battle is going to be something that's going to make Marineford look like just a little scuffle. And this final confrontation, the winners of these fights are going to be the ones that either maintain control, should it be the world government, or bring the new dawn that could bring an end to the tyranny of the world government and be led by either pirates or the revolutionaries or somebody else. But getting back into our list of leaks, we finally have confirmation that Shanks is ready to meet with Luffy again. After having said that they would soon meet again, and we saw in those little scenes several chapters ago, it seems that Shanks and his crew are now waiting for news of Luffy's whereabouts. After the news that Luffy had defeated Kaido and Wano, and Shanks learned of what he had been up to, it seems that he and his crew went to Wano to meet up. But something unexpected happened. Bartolomeo appears and seems to want to prevent him from approaching his captain Luffy. But somehow, a battle and a confrontation is breaking out between Shanks' crew and Bartolomeo's crew, who of course is a current part of Luffy's grand fleet. And Shanks is said to have had a great desire to find Luffy. But with no other options, it looks like Shanks is gonna have to move to defeat Bartolomeo first, because he seems to be getting in his way. After all, it's been rumored that Bartolomeo and the rest of the Grand Fleet may have actually taken over some of Shanks's islands, or at least his territory, on Luffy's behalf. And now he's going further by putting himself between Shanks and Luffy. So Shanks is gonna have to figure out some way to either defeat or convince Bartolomeo that he needs Luffy on his plans. So not only can he see his old friend again, but start putting in motion all these other plans that we've expected but just haven't gotten any information about. But an exciting thing that we saw in these leaks as well is that during the early parts of this fight with Bartolomeo, Shanks says that now is the moment that he has been waiting for all along. And now was the time to finally find the One Piece treasure. And with the discovery of the One Piece, a new Pirate King could emerge, which means that Luffy might be responsible, or at least an integral part of this feat, since Shanks is going directly to Luffy so that he could somehow find the One Piece. In the leaks, it's also said that Aramaki, of course, or Green Bull, has now finally managed to get to this flower capital and is going to confront Luffy, and reveals the power of his devil fruit. Now, unlike what many of us might have thought that the devil fruit being a paramecia, it is in fact not, but rather a logia. Now, we don't have confirmation what the translated name of his fruit means, but it seems to be named the Mori Mori no Mi, which may deal with the chrysanthemum, but also Mori in Latin happens to be the word for death. And when we saw the chrysanthemum sticking out of his back, of course the plant that was letting him fly, it's a traditional flower that is left on graves and kinda is symbolized with death as well in certain Eastern cultures. So there may be a play on words between all of this. But either way, we're gonna see that this makes him, of course being a logia, a plant man or something like that. And when Aramaki arrives at the place, it seems that the party is going on, and he crashes it in order to confront the Straw Hats. In the leak, we hear there's a scene where Yamato, who is face to face with Aramaki, takes their kanabo and strikes him directly at the Admiral's head. Now, we don't have much more information about what happens after that, but it's very likely that at that moment when the attack happens, it's the true essence of the Mori Mori no Mi fruit that we see. Because you see, it could be that Yamato may have just attacked the Admiral without using any haki, which caused the kanabo to pass right through his body, causing no injury to Aramaki's body, thus showing that his fruit is actually a logia with the ability to manipulate plants and roots from his body, and of course that age-old benefit of having a logia fruit being intangibility. But with all that said, my friends, it looks like this chapter is gonna be an amazing one, and I know that all of us have been waiting just this last month. Now don't get me wrong, this last month break for Oda-sensei has been a well-deserved break because of everything we've seen going on in this end of this Wano arc. But we can't wait to see what's going to come out once we have a bit more information about what's going on in these battles, and of course how this stage is going to be set in order to decide the fate of the world of One Piece. But that about does it for our leak so far, friends. So for right now, I'd love to know what you think about it. What are you most excited for in this next chapter? What do you think also? Do you think this Mori Mori no Mi means? I mean, do you think it deals with death, or is it a plant logia, and how do you think that might work? And also, what do you think is going on with the revolutionaries and Sabo? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, why don't you give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I really hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.